I found him when he was 13. He'd been living on the streets, feeding off the homeless. His need for blood had taken hold at puberty. I took him for a vampire at first. Almost killed him, too. Then I realized what he was. Blade's mother was attacked by a vampire while she was pregnant. She died, but he lived. Unfortunately, he'd undergone certain genetic changes. He can withstand garlic, silver, even sunlight. And he's got their strength. This time tomorrow, all those wounds of his will be healed. He still ages like a human, though. See, vampires age slower than us. Unfortunately, he also inherited their thirst.
I thought the serum was supposed to suppress that.
Time's running out. His body's starting to reject it. And so far, all my efforts to find a cure have failed.
Why do you hunt them?
I had a family once. Wife, 2 daughters. Then a drifter came calling one evening. A vampire. He toyed with him first. Tried to make me decide which order they'd die in. We kill as many of them as we can find. But it's getting worse.
Because of Frost.
There's something happening in the vampire ranks. There's something big. And I'd stake my life that son of a bitch is at the center of it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Run Multiverse with your host, the half-man, half-vampire Kyle Charles, and...
the man who ice skated uphill, CY Chong.
Oh, you bar. I was going to use that one later. Ah. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. And today, we're going to discuss and talk about the first major Marvel movie that set the trend for future comic book movies.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of agree with that, actually. I kind of agree. Even though it was not a Marvel Studios movie.
No, but it was a good movie, nonetheless. We're going to talk about the Blade Trilogy.
Yeah. Did you know anything about Blade before any of these movies?
Yeah.
What was your first... Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the Spider-Man cartoon. He was in that. So I kind of knew who Blade was from that, really.
Did Yourself? Was he also half man, half vampire there?
Yes, but through more wholesome means. Yeah. His mum was in love with a vampire and they had a child, which makes no sense. Sure.
Yeah, I think in the comics he wasn't half man, half, and he's British as well.
Which is
he's just a straight up man. No, enhanced to some degree or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but I think they had to bring it in line with the most popular version, which is the movie version, where he became half man, half vampire. But
is it?
Yeah. I think he got bit by a vampire, maybe Morbius, in the comics.
Yeah. And
this was around 1998 or something like that. Even though he was looking like Wesley Snipes, with the same similar costume like that. But because before that, he was just wearing a green jacket and a red t-shirt, that sort of stuff.
Kind of crappy.
Yeah. So the movies made them look really good, actually. And they just took the kind of... Well, basically, just like, okay, this is a black vampire slayer. Let's go and find a guy who can pull this off.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes, of course. Why not? What did you think of the first Blade movie? Were you going into it with the basis of, I'm going to base it on the Blade that I know from the cartoon, or did you just no expectations, nothing?
No expectations whatsoever. I was like, I know that name. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, wow, this is possibly the best film I've ever seen in my life at that point. Yeah. And I watched it religiously. It was like the best thing ever to me.
I have to say it. The look of it, first of all, the visuals, is very cool blue kind of visual, and I point that out because Blade 2 has different visuals as well against that, because it's more kind of a yellow hazy visuals.
Yeah.
But they're all directed by different people, so it gives us more things to speak about.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I would have to say Guillermo del Toro's Blade 2 is the best.
Looking one out a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
I think looking, but more like what the way they do stuff is smoother. The martial arts are smoother. The action is like kind of bombastic. You got elbow drops and dragon sleepers happening and stuff like that.
And suplexes.
Yes, exactly. Whereas, yes, I like the martial arts in the first couple, but they're more straightforward. Yeah, not the first couple, in the first one, right? And the third one, they're not bad as well. But then, yeah, he busts out skills in the second one. He never uses it again.
Yeah.
And I have to say that. So when he's beating up all those vampires, all those security guards before he gets to Reinhardt, and he does a suplex on that last guy, and I'm like, I've taken a suplex before. That's not how you. I mean, the stalling suplex, yes, but you need to help with your core to keep the illusion of the vertical suplex up there.
Nah, they got super strength, so he could just.
Yeah. But the guy's legs. Why is the guy's legs straight? Why are they dangling?
Yeah.
And what was really funny is after he dropped him with the suplex, Blade, you're falling backwards as well, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
And the way they just shoot stuff off the floor afterwards.
Because he's Blade.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I was like, but why are you gonna fall on your back? I was like, when I always see that, I'm thinking he should have just jackhammered the guy. That way, he don't fall on his own back.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
But yeah. Did you ever understand the lines? I didn't understand it until recently, and this is how many years ago it was. 2004 when this movie came out. No, 2002. Sorry.
Yeah.
When Reinhardt says to him, "Can you blush?"
Yeah. I didn't get it at first, and then when talking older, I was like, "Oh, that was a racist joke." Awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god! First of all, I don't. When you read it, yeah, I'm typing it, going, what does this mean? What does he mean? Can you blush? I thought it was just, mock it. You know when
Yeah.
just
I thought it was some like weird vampire joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
And then once I got older, I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's not cool.
Because Winston is a very black man.
Yeah.
Who is it? I was watching something. I think it might have been a Charlie Murphy thing, but he was talking about Wesley Snipes, the blackest brother in the galaxy or something like that. I can't remember that.
That was
right?
Wesley Snipes,
yeah, the black guy said about black guys, he's allowed, right? But yeah, it was like because he's so black, when he blushes, his skin don't, yeah. And I'm like, oh my god, such racism.
Yep.
I don't believe the audacity of the nerve of it, right? It's just like, but it's so over the top because Wesley Snipes obviously allows it to happen.
Yeah.
It's so over the top, yeah. I'm like, oh man, I kind of shake my head at it, but at the same time, it's just like the raw nerve of it makes me think you guys are clearly joking.
But also,
right?
which is the funny thing about it, Ron Perlman's wife is black in real life, so I was like,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah. And he's also playing kind of a Nazi kind of character.
Yeah, because he's naming it Reinhardt.
Yeah, but he's Jewish, so
yeah.
I mean, like, like more. When people know, you kind of get more. I have to say, he really plays a piece of crap really well, though.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I mean, Donnie Yen was in part 2 as well, but he didn't do much.
Yeah,
he choreographed it. Did you watch audio commentaries and stuff like that? The behind the scenes?
No, I didn't.
So Donnie Yen did the choreography for the first half of the film.
Yeah.
And the guy who did the choreography for the Blade 1 did the second half of the film. Okay. And you can see the style, the fighting styles are slightly different because once Blade has his blood, he gets more street fighting style.
Yeah, he gets more like feral or whatever. Yeah.
But it's good for them to change it because it just gives a different vibe.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah. I did like the Blood Pack as well. They
were good characters.
Yeah. Well, not that they didn't do much, but logistically, when you have Blade, and you're like, right, so he's been doing his stuff.
Yep.
And we are vampires. We might as well. We should at some point say group up to try and kill Blade, right? Of our league. Yeah. So it makes perfect. Except and then the Reapers happen, and you're like, well, okay, we're trained to fight Blade. We are the elite. Why don't we get Blade? Obviously, I like the idea of what they were doing, by the way, as well. When the vampire's like, well, we might as well get a vampire hunter to help us hunt these vampires
Yeah.
that are worse than us. I did like how the Reapers mutated and they got the jaws that open wide and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was quite scary.
I have to say, did you notice there's when the scene where the Reapers first kind of engage in a fight with the Blood Pack?
Yeah.
And you get 2 Reaper scenes happening at the same time.
Yeah.
One has a practical Reaper because the jaw's open, but it's not so wide. And the other one, the one who's biting the guy called Priest, is a CG Reaper because his jaw opens much wider.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, okay. If you didn't have them scenes playing concurrently, cut back forth between each other, you wouldn't really notice it. Or if you CG enhance the practical one, yeah.
It's even for like CGI for 2002, it's pretty. It still sort of holds up in places.
Yeah. Some places it looks a bit rubber, but you can't help it. You can't help that.
No.
Yeah. Oh no! I tell you what, Deacon Frost in number 1, right? Where they made that like when he got sliced by Blade, and he's like after he's got the vampire god thingamajig, right?
Yeah.
And it's like liquid bubble, whatever. And it's just.
Yeah, that bit's weird. Like, oh, okay, sure. Have you saying that? Have you seen the deleted scene when he becomes the proper blood god?
The vampire tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Ugh.
Yeah, no wonder. I was like, nah, just.
I see why you cut that.
It got a bit ludicrous. It's like, so. Yeah, like, so the blood tornado, rightio.
Sure. Yep. Jump the shark. Yep, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been your first movie. Oh, by the way, so I liked Blade's intro scene. Blade 1 and 2 have really good intro scenes for Blade.
Yeah,
I will say that much.
Yeah.
Blade 3 has a decent one, but Blade 3 is kind of an awkward one.
Yeah.
Because it does have decent action, and the story's all right, but it just kind of never. If it was Blade 1, Blade 3, for example, and then Blade 2. I could kind of see it going that direction, but Blade 2 was kind of, and then, Blade 2 kind of is beyond Blade 3.
Way beyond Blade 3, yeah.
But the beginning of Blade 1, the girl is in Europe somewhere, Poland. I don't know where it is exactly, right?
Don't really say, do they?
Yeah, Czechoslovakia. Who knows exactly, right?
Yeah.
But. The lady is putting her boyfriend, a guy off the street, whatever, right? Is her, I want to say partner, but it's just some dude, right?
Yeah.
And into the club, they're dancing around and stuff like that, right? And then the DJ puts the thing on where the water sprays come on, except they're spraying out blood. And this. Oh
wait. No, this is in New York. Blade 1's set in New York. Yes, remember that now. Yeah. It's meant to be set in New York. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was.
You're thinking of number 2, because 2.
That's it.
Set somewhere. It's definitely not America. It's set somewhere.
And one ends in Russia somewhere. Yeah.
Number 1 does. Yeah.
So the fire extinguisher water comes on, but it's actually blood coming out. The one dude who's the boyfriend, the random guy, he's like, what is this? Because he's the only one that, it turns out, he's not vampire, but everyone else is vampire. Yeah? And they start showing their fangs at him, And he's like, oh, no, and he's getting knocked over, flying on the floor and stuff like that, right? And they're like, I'm sure he's not the only person there, but he's the only one that's shown that's a human, right? Yeah. So you're telling me all these hordes of vampires in this nightclub are just going to feed off this one guy, right? Yeah. Maybe not, because they got the water spray that's spraying out blood. Anyways, he's crawling over to Blade, right? He's crawling over, while they're kicking while it's down, right? And then he stops by the feet of someone. He looks up, and it's our boy Wesley Snipes' Blade. I'm like, ooh, what a nice intro. Because then when the camera goes back and you see all the vampires looking at him, they're crapping themselves. They're sticking like, oh, it's Blade, this thing, like that, right?
Yeah.
And then he just proceeds to beat them all up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like this, I was like, so Blade walks in the room like that, right? And that's how your boy Vin Diesel wants to be. When he walks in the room, he wants to hold the attention just like that. But not to obviously knock him while he's down, right? I was thinking, if Vin Diesel was playing the character Blade here, do you think he could pull it off? No, I'm not saying obviously being black or anything. No.
You'd
have to adjust it for his sensibilities, right? But I could actually imagine Vin Diesel walking in the room dressed like Blade like that, right? And all these vampires fear him.
I'm trying to think. Could he pull it off?
Well, you know, I mean, you've seen him play Riddick, right?
Yeah.
The similar vibes.
So I'm saying, so he might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the action, but it'd be different style action where he'd probably Hulk grab them and throw them across the room and stuff like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as fluid and smooth as like Wesley Snipes. But maybe he could.
But I can see Vin Diesel have the commanding presence of Blade.
He could.
Yeah. Obviously, you'd have to be bold though, because if Vin Diesel with hair is not exactly.
You could tell a mile away it's not really his hair, so it'd be a bit weird.
Oh yeah. But no. Obviously, I was like, well, who else could they have cast as Blade at that time?
Will Smith?
Oh no. You know what? That's not too well. Okay, as far as the physicals, because you know when Will Smith's got the build for it.
Yeah.
Whether he can do the action scenes, I don't know. I haven't seen the RD film.
Oh yeah, no, he's pretty good in that. He's really good now.
But it's just not one of these things where you're like, will he swear as much as Blade should, or would he kind of tame it down? Because
because in Bad Boys he swears a lot. So.
Good point.
Yeah. He could possibly.
I can't. Well, okay. Let's say he can't play up because he's got action chops, right?
Yeah.
But he's never played and he played Deathshot.
Yeah.
With a level of authority, just not as Blade doesn't say a lot.
No.
Well, no, he comes across more that he does actions without saying stuff.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when he does say stuff, right? Sometimes it's like that brooding personality, and then other times he goes drive turkey.
Yeah.
When
out of nowhere as well.
yeah. He does it twice that I remember just off hand, right? In Blade 1, where he's in the hospital trying to clean up the loose ends at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he's obviously looking intimidating. He's got his sword and he's chasing a corpse, right?
Yeah.
And then the corpse goes out of view. The vampire who got burnt, right?
Yeah.
Runs out of the view. And the cops are saying freeze to Blade.
Yeah.
And then they shoot him straight up, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, does he do something before they shoot him?
I think they shoot him. Then he goes, "Mop, you out your mind."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "MF, you out of your mind?" And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then he does it. I think in Blade Trinity he also does it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, just okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, when you're infuriated, the streets come back out in your speech. All right, I'll allow it.
Yeah, basically. Okay, sure. Makes sense.
What do you think of the costumes? I know they don't really change that much, but they do actually change.
Yes, they're like. It's not majorly changed, but it's sort of like evolve during the time. Yeah, to like higher class stuff, really. Isn't it?
I will say, like, okay, Blade 1's costume looks tactical, but kind of plain at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Because it's straightforward,
Yeah.
I prefer I prefer number 2s, right?
Yeah.
Because they had the lock, way the way he locks his body armor. I don't want to say the zip things, but the thingy-jigs, the clasps. Number 3 looked a bit plain, even though he had the red under armor on, right? Which gave it a splash of color because the inside of his coat was red as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of that matched with number 3, but I prefer the body armor number 2. But he probably should have worn because it's like a loose fitting jacket or something in number 2. On top of his, he's wearing some sort of loose shirt thing. I don't know. It had wrinkles over it.
Yeah.
Even though it's covered in his jacket. I have to say as well. Yeah. So, which did you prefer?
Ooh. I don't know. Maybe same with you too. Because like with Blade 3, I just keep remembering the red shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. To be fair, it did suit the look at the time. The rest of the thing he was wearing, but I just think that the body armor clasp and that was kind of just a bit too, straightforward.
Yeah, a bit bright as well.
Yeah.
But it kind of suited the mood of the film, so I'll give it that. But
yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you ever watch the series, by the way?
Bits and pieces of it, yeah.
You know, I have to say, I watched the entire series. It's not when it came out.
Yeah,
not that bad. Not that I'm gonna watch it again. But yeah, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It was it was a thing. Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, and it was not even in continuity with the actual Blade series as well. So
no,
I mean in the Blade movies.
But I know that was meant randomly feed into another Marvel show that got cancelled as well before it even got started. But I can't remember what it was.
Well, he did mention Mark Spector in it. So you're thinking of Moon Knight.
I think it was Moon Knight was meant to appear in season 2, but then season 2 never happened. So,
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
And you know that I think some of the box sets have Blade 1, Blade 2, Blade 3, and the first 2 parts of Blade the series as the fourth, quote unquote, fourth movie. Yeah,
that's random.
Sorry. Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. And I have to say the look of Blade wasn't that bad in the series as well. The costume they scaled down. They should have just reused some of the. Like they had 3 versions of the Wesley Snipes costume. They could have just patchwork bits and pieces together to make a costume, but whatever.
Yeah.
What did you think of the villains? So Deacon Frost in the first one, Gerard Nomak in the second one. Oh well, don't just stick with the villains. There are any notable villains, but I'm just taking the main ones. Yeah. And Dracula himself in the third one.
As much as I love Blade 1 and 2, I love those films. And 3, I could take it or leave it. It's not good or bad. But I really like Dracula, the character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just thought he was kind of cool. Like, his whole backstory and stuff was quite cool. Like, he grew bored with, like, vampires and humans, so he just went to sleep for 1,000 years. I kind of like I don't know what it is. And he came back to a world where he just thought was even worse. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
And then he was like, you vampires, right? Since I've been gone for my 1,000-year sleep, you people just making us people look bad.
Yeah. And I like that. That's pretty cool.
I have to say, I prefer the Gerard Nomak as a villain because he was like, through no fault of his own and stuff like that. He had a bit of a more sympathetic backstory.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And he obviously, okay. The vampire, the purebred vampire, they're like, I'm going to start experimenting on myself to make my fetuses. I'm going to make all these vampire fetuses somehow, right? So does that mean that he bred with all these vampire women and he's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, by the way, poof, right? Or does he cut them out, the fetuses? Do you think he cuts the fetuses out first and then he kills the women? Or do you think he cuts the fetuses out, leaves the women alive so he can rebreed them?
Oh. Maybe all of it.
You know what? That's the thing. They don't specify, but at the same time, it's kind of it's not beyond the plans of what he's doing to me. No. He's like, all right, you got to this point where you're just creating fetuses to genetic experiment on. You do whatever you do, and you're never going to pass the levels of whatever you've done already, because that's how bad you are.
Yeah, it's like you've gone past that point of no return, so just keep doing your thing, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So, and then he's like created. So he tried to create Daywalkers out of it. Well, vampires without their weaknesses, except that he obviously is like, we ain't gonna cure the thirst of blood because that's all about us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what makes us vampires, yo.
We love the blood. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sure.
So, yeah. So Gerard Nomak, obviously through no fault of his own, he'd just been experimenting, then he gets shafted out of the family because of who he is.
Yeah.
And then, so if he bred the fetus, right? Yeah. And Gerard Nomak, I don't want to say he's in this. As far as we're going by the characters, right?
Yeah.
Are they in the 30s or they're immortals, right?
Yeah.
But this has more recently happened, so he's got to be bred quite recently.
Yeah.
because it only became a problem
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, well, according to the film in the 2004, right? In that,
Yeah.
So what was he doing before that? Was he just trapped in the castle somewhere, and they eventually got free?
That's the thing. Like, I've always either thought that he was recently born and like accelerated age. That's how he's a man.
Yeah.
But because that would explain some stuff, but then it doesn't really explain anything else. Like what he talks about.
Okay, so we should go for he was trapped in the castle somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise, it would have been a major problem that he dealt with. But then why? Okay, here's the other issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're like, all right, okay, yes, because no, it's not an issue anymore because because he was talking about that is his son, so he still kind of cares for him, even though he's like outcast him,
Yeah.
So fair enough. That's why you kept him alive. But then obviously, you should probably start keeping. You would kind of keep your experiments alive to find out what happens later on.
Yeah.
Ish. But yeah, so that's that.
Unless
yeah,
he was kept somewhere else, like
yeah.
That's why he sort of knows his father, but his sister didn't know him. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
well, yeah. I mean, they don't explain nothing, but hey, that's all right. I mean,
yeah,
because it just starts off the film. It starts the film that Jared Nomak's walking into a blood bank, and then and I did like the twist. Okay, first of all, he did look shady, yeah.
Yeah.
So he walks in the blood bank like the homeless person that he seems to be dressed as, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, and he's going in there, guiding him to where they take the blood, except that he's passing all the open areas and he's seen them cleaning up blood. So like something's odd. You're like, oh my goodness, this guy's in danger, right? This is going to be a vampire haunt or something like that, masquerading as a blood bank.
Yeah.
Turns out not, right? Because he's like they oh yeah, we're vampires, right? And then he starts crying.
Yeah.
And then he starts laughing. And he's like, yeah, you might think you're vampires, yeah?
But so am I.
yeah. And then his massive jaw opens.
I thought that was hilarious. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know he was the vampire dude as well, whatever he is, yeah? A Reaper, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like, just being a normal person, walk to the place, like you saying, seeing people, like, mopping up blood. When you think, I should not be here. Even if I need money, I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? But no, he just kind of gave his game plan away, really. But, yeah.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go after." At that point, he decides he's going after the vampires, right? Yeah. Then they need to go after him.
I was like, oh, okay.
And even though basically, as far as character is concerned, he's just a genetically modified vampire.
Yeah.
I think he had something to him, like, exiled and sympathetic, and he didn't, he's like essentially killing the bloodline, but being like patient zero and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I didn't think Deacon Frost was that bad.
No, he wasn't that bad, but
he was alright as well. Sorry, go on.
For me, like, Deacon Frost is like a character of that time.
Yeah.
Like the edgy sort of new metal kind of guy.
Yeah.
And a bit of a spoiled brat, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. What's so he's like what okay, there's pure breed vampires, and what's the ones that transform, what are they called?
Oh, I forgot what they're called. I didn't name it in these as well. I forgot what it is. Would you say turned vampires?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, well, he wants to be the head of the vampire clan, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, only pure breeds can be the leaders.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. Well, we'll find out. We'll see exactly what's what when we know what's happening. When you guys see what I'm gonna do, right? And he just tries to turn it. Yeah, he tries to decipher the vampire god stuff. And there's some wacky scenes, right? Because when I say wacky, what they do is kidnap one of the vampire guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're like. They're wearing motorcycle helmets and stuff like that, and they're like
motorcycle helmets and sunscreen.
Yeah, and they're like, "Yo, you haven't seen the sunlight for ages, right? So let's see how we're doing you a favor here." And it's just like, and then they go, "That's what you get for trying to badmouth me." But yeah, right? She's telling me, okay, fine, right? They put the motorcycle helmet visor down, yeah, UV protective apparently, okay.
Yeah.
But then there's a later scene, okay, where Deacon Frost is like saying to Blade, wants to kind of have a chat with Blade, saying, well, you know, I want to take the vampires down, and you two as well, so we could team up, you know. And then Blade's like, yeah, but you're also a vampire, and I will also kill you as well, you know that.
Yeah, it's like, what's your end game here? Because I'm going to end up killing you because I am a vampire hunter. Yeah. You know.
And Deacon was like, fine, be that way.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like, so this is during daytime, right? Randomly, he grabs a Chinese girl, or you know, some Asian, like looking like she's 9 years old or something like as his kidnap victim. Yeah. Don't know how he got this girl to begin with, right?
No.
But all of a sudden, he's like he's in the Blade's like sniffing the sunscreen off him, and turns and sees him in the park with this hostage-ish.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they're having this interaction, and no one else in the park is selling it.
Yeah.
They just continue walking. Okay?
I found it hilarious.
Like... yeah, because they're threatening each other. They're like quite. How do you say? Want to say about more than 6 feet away from each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dude's slathered in sunscreen. Yeah. Not only that, but his eyeballs on like turning into dust or something. So he's got to done something. Okay, so the logic is he either put sunscreen on his eyes, all right, and the inside of his mouth as well. Yeah. Or and I could buy he could put full-on contact lenses in his eyes, yeah, because that's you know when they're making the films back in the day.
Yeah.
And the contact lenses were massive. Fine, right? I accept that, yeah. But the inside of his mouth when he talks to Blade, and the inside of his nostrils, and the inside of his ears.
Yeah.
Right.
There's lots of things wrong with this, yeah.
yeah. But I think that's what makes it even more ludicrous. The fact that we accept that all this silliness happens and all that. It's like, okay, so let me finish the scene, yeah? And they have their conversation. Deacon Frost's like, yo, fine, Blade. And he dashes the girl across the street into the road. Blade whips out his guns, starts shooting Deacon Frost, right? And Deacon Frost running off. And Blade's like looking, and he sees a girl landing on the road, and she's getting up there. She's about to be squashed by a truck.
Yeah.
So he runs over, hops over the cars, grabs her, rolls out the road, and then puts her down on the ground and tells her to go home.
Go home, it's not like,
Yeah. And then she's like nodding at Mr. Blade and running off. Yeah. And then all these other New Yorkers just continue walking down the street, like they didn't even stop. They didn't not. They started as though they didn't ever seen that before.
Yeah.
They never saw it happen, right? Even the gunshots and stuff like that, right? And it's either you're gonna say it happens so frequently that people shoot at other people and throw other people into the road.
Yeah, like
just you're like just an average day in New York, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, you know.
Yeah. Okay, whatever.
Like if this was in like the real Marvel universe, then I could see like, oh yeah, they're just used to these sort of things going on. Like, oh okay, sure, that's a thing, but. No, it's just Blade. You can't be used to this.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, if you take the scenes independently. So at some point, a white dude, right, is covered in sunscreen, smelling off whatever it is he's smelling off, right?
Looks very shady as well.
Yeah. Like he's a druggie because he's that pale white, right?
Yeah.
It has an Asian. Are you gonna say he has an Asian daughter, adopted daughter? I don't even know what you're gonna say. But does he like? Just take the girl off the street somewhere, right? So he's walking around with her, and you're just going to be like, right, okay, this is not shady whatsoever.
Yeah, this is perfectly normal.
And then when you throw it across the road, and then when you, as far as other people know, right, if you've seen that scene independent of that, right, all you've seen is some black dude jumping across the road and taking this girl off the street, and you're like, right.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, just carry on, nothing happened. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and he's armored up as well. That's the thing. It's
like, again, alarm bells right there. There's so many things wrong with this.
That's what stood out to me the most, because the rest of it fine, but when you just got like stuff happening and then no one caring.
Yeah. But to be fair, this happens like in most like comic book films when you think about it now. Like, just so many weird things happen that no one pays attention. Sure, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of I like way back to the beginning of the film, where the bloodbath thingamajig.
Yeah.
And then Blade's all beating up everyone and showing off the weapons he has. I'm like, that's actually a really good super intro scene.
Yeah.
Like for the character, because he's very competent, flashy, and he's got he's showing off what he can do.
Yeah. I like that bit as well. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, like in number 2 as well, where like they start off with the scene different, like with Jared Nomak, and then Wesley Snipes give a what's it called? A verbal lowdown on what the situation is with Whistler.
Yeah.
And then he's in Poland or wherever he is, just chasing some vampires down, beating them up. Very, very nice looking stuff that he's doing. You know, jumping off motorcycles and corrupting vampires and stuff like that.
You know, this I always, for some reason, in my head, kind of like canon that this was the sequel. Like, you know, like the last film where it ended, where Blade's in Russia.
Yeah.
And then he's in Europe for this film. I kind of just thought it was a continuation straight from that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's what he's... Okay, so at some point we're going to say between when Deacon Frost got finished...
Yeah.
And then when the pre-end credit scene where he's in Moscow...
Yeah.
At some point he found out Whistler was alive between all that... Well, to be fair, they don't tell you how long those scenes take apart from each other.
They don't, do they? No.
Yeah. What did you think of the retcon where, okay, so Whistler got bit by a vampire.
Yeah.
By Deacon Frost, right?
Yep.
And he was like, yo, Blade, I did you a favor because he was going to die, right? If he's old, he's going to die. But now, and you're half vampire, so you're going to live longer than him, right?
Yeah.
But I did you a favor. I turned him into a vampire. Now he's immortal and he can live longer with you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
you have your daddy now forever.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, so then... So somehow, right? You get shot in number 2. No, you get shot, right, as a vampire, and he's still alive. Supposedly, he shot himself in the head, right? We say supposedly because Blade gives him his gun. He says, "Hey, I'm going to turn, so you better..." And they beat me up as well prior to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn. Give me the gun. I'll shoot myself. Walk away, Blade. Walk away. So then. He does that. You hear the gunshot. You see his arm flop down. Okay.
Yeah.
But somehow, he's alive in Blade 2. So did he just not shoot himself in the head?
Unless he turned just before, and
yeah. Well, look. If he shot himself some way that can heal, it's kind of fine. So let's just say, for example, he didn't. If he shot himself in the head prior to turning, then he'll keep all the wounds before he turned, right? Because that's what their law is.
Yeah.
But let's just say he shot himself in the throat. Okay, for some stupid reason he shot himself in the neck. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe because his arm, the angle of his arms and stuff like that. Whatever. Yeah. Let's just say he shot himself in the neck.
Yep.
Fair enough. He could survive that when he turns. Yeah.
Yeah.
And heal from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not that they had any problem speaking, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, all right, fair enough. You need Whistler, yeah, but how they create that tank of blood for him to be in to heal him, and then beat him up again.
Yeah,
I like that. I like how that scenario was.
Wait, didn't they say?
Yeah.
That oh no, they fixed his walk. Never mind. No,
they didn't. They didn't. He said the damn vampires could have fix my leg while they were at it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Then,
yeah. But I will say during that scene, I forgot to mention that at the intro. So there was the vampires sniffing the blood cocaine or whatever they were sniffing.
Yeah, that was weird. Like crystallized blood or whatever it was. Yeah, that was.
Oh, I just assumed myself it was coke or one of those drugs that mixed in with blood so they could taste it. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah," and he tried to offer it to the other guy. But I'm like, wait a minute, you only can taste blood, so I don't know how infusing blood with cocaine or whatever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
maybe for all we know, it was just dehydrated blood.
Yeah.
And they're just sniffing it. Who knows? Exactly. So you're saying you're okay. What made you think that what made you like Drake in Blade 3?
Like how he just carried himself. Like he's higher than everyone. Like, he's better than everyone because technically he is better than everyone.
Yeah, he's the first.
Yeah.
Dominic Parcell, I don't think it was too bad. I was just like, okay, so where did you get these powers that you can shapeshift from? I mean, they just basically said that the original quote unquote Dracula has these abilities, and you're like, all right.
You know what? I bought it for some reason. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense because he's the perfect one, and everything after that's diluted, isn't it? So I was like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Not that your abilities come out of nowhere, but just like, okay, I guess you have higher abilities that more abilities that other people don't have.
Yeah, maybe he was a mutant. What's that? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like you said, when you dilute the bloodline a bit more and more, you lose less power.
Yeah, like the Saiyans. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's in fact like the Saiyans. They're straight up like the Saiyans because the vampires turn into vampire. They got vampire abilities right away, right?
Yeah.
But then by that point, they're next generation from the original.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. What did you? Okay. So the cohorts in the film. All right. I don't know the names of all of them, but I know Deacon Frost had the bearded guy, Donald Longu, or Harvey Bullock from Gotham. He was quite funny.
Yeah, I liked him. He was quite funny. The pig sticker and his arm gets blown off. Yeah.
And then the running joke where his arm, his arms get cut off all the time.
I love that bit. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And the guy's just so over the top. He seemed proper coked up, like Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3.
Yeah, literally. Like, oh wow, this dude just does cocaine all the time. So that's how the feel you get from it. Oh, okay.
And the blonde lady who's dressed in white all the time.
Yeah, who I kept on thinking was the lady from the Matrix. Even though the Matrix came out afterwards. But yeah.
And but I don't think they stand out as villains. No. I mean, those two of them all stand out amongst the Deacon Frost's cohorts.
Yeah.
There was the other one that stood out to me. There's two more stood out to me. One, the 30-year-old girl, vampire girl, who was like doing high kicks to Blade. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, where'd you come from, right? It's like trying to think you could take up Wesley Snipes. You look like you still need to go to primary school.
Yep. He just does away with her.
Yeah. Like she's throwing high kicks towards his head. Actually, funny enough that they can actually reach his head. Yeah. And good on her being able to actually throw kicks that high.
Yeah.
But yeah, he parries them and just backslaps her.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I was like, all right, fine. But the other thing was when Blade's mum turns out to be live, and then there's a scene that gave me them ultimate Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch vibes, and I was like,
no, please don't go that way.
Yeah. She's basically saying, yo, Eric, because his name's Eric Brooks, I'm alive, we can be family again. But she's walking to him in a very
seductive way, like, no, that's your son.
Yeah. And then I don't know if she's walking over for a hug, but Blade's like, yeah, rightio.
Yeah, but
gets close to her, just shanks her with a silver stake.
Yeah. She deserved to die, if I'm honest.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like she's all okay. This is what I want to know as well. Now we point out, right?
Yeah.
So she's with Deacon Frost. Like there's scenes that she's with Deacon Frost, but you don't see because they cut off she's out of the shot. Her head's out of the shot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But you're telling me from the very beginning that she got bit when she was pregnant, and then I don't know if she died or whatever you want to say, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right. As far as Blade knows, she's died, right?
Yeah.
But then, okay, and then you're telling me what? Does Deacon Frost know that she's Blade's mum to get him and then go, yeah, I'm going to keep Blade's mum with me for like the next 30 years until Blade appears and then go, yeah, your mum's alive? What was it exactly? What's the logic?
I think that was some like lucky thing he stumbled into.
Yeah.
Because
it'd be very illogical the other way, right?
Yeah. It'd be way too much to sort of plan for that to be a thing, innit? So I think, he just sort of lucked into that. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is your mum.
Yeah.
Lucky me, sort of thing.
Yeah. My ace in the hole that I will just keep here for a bit in case I ever encounter Blade.
Yeah, I mean, way too much like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was me all along sort of thing, innit?
Yeah, like we were saying about number 2, the Blood Pack, which is Danny John Jules, what's his name? Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman,
Donnie Yen
yeah.
was in there. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his face? One part of the Blood Pack, but he betrayed Blade. Oh,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Scud, but AKA
Scud,
Norman Reedus, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Hideo Kojima's best friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And Thor's granddaddy,
Yeah.
the Irish guy that he's in all sorts of stuff, and I just can't remember his name.
Yeah. What's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I as a group, they seem to be very buddy, considering some of them don't even speak.
Yeah.
And some of them speak foreign languages, yet they all understand each other, whatever, right?
Yeah, as you do. You know.
But as a group of guys, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like Nomak as well. Nisa as well.
Nisa was good. She was a good character.
The group, that group of vampires, Damascus as well. It's funny as well that when Nomak finally bit him,
Yeah.
and he fell on the floor, and his face cracked. I'm like, wait, hold on a second, yeah, because all these other vampires turn into Reaper. Oh no, but he tore out his throat. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus he's old.
Yeah. So it's like you're telling me you don't turn into dust. You just when you're that old, you just crack and turn into, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Something don't explain. Yeah.
Yeah, but fine, whatever, right?
Like, I accept at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're talking about how the Reaper strain, so vampirism is like a virus according to Blade 1.
Yeah.
So the Reaper strain is a virus on top of a virus, and then when they dissect that Reaper, whether it's heart encased in bone,
Yeah.
like a shell or something, and then the jaws that open like on hinges and stuff like that, like they're more enhanced vampires, and they some of the weaknesses are well, they've got less weaknesses.
Yeah, because they can go in daylight, can't they?
Yeah, no, they can't. They can't go in daylight.
Oh.
But because UV is the only thing they can use against them.
Oh.
Unless you do high enough damage that you're going to be able to shank through at someone's heart, you know. Not someone's heart in particular, but like the bone encased heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can heal right away.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit where Nomak gets his arm broken by Blade, then he flips over Blade, and he just then he fixes his arm and just beats Blade with his just fixed arm.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. I did like what was the villains in number 3?
Yeah.
Parker Posey, Triple H,
Yeah.
and that dude, that blonde dude from some other films. But I want to say they're particularly memorable. Triple H's acting is memorable because his acting ability is different from everyone else. I don't say in a negative or positive way, but just be more like he's acting like he's in wrestling, and everyone else is acting like they're in a movie.
Yeah. But
if they all acted on the same level, it'd be different. It's just like he stands out a little bit.
Yeah. Which I didn't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like Triple H in that film.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought, this guy's quite cool.
Yeah. The action, I thought the action was pretty well done. Hannibal King and Annabelle Whistler.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Ryan Reynolds just being Ryan Reynolds here, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
Because he was one of the more entertaining characters here. Abigail Whistler with her earphones, promoting the latest Apple products, and they're like, so you drive your car. You got like, even in that scenario where you got to listen out in case you hear could hear another car before you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Same applies here, where you why would you have your earphones in? Something might happen that you like around a corner that you can't hear. I mean, that you can't see, but you can hear. So, yeah, whatever. Somehow you make the focus, whatever, right? Maybe one earphone, but then you're just still knocking out the other side of I don't get the logic.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. On paper, it sounds kind of cool, but then practically, it's stupid.
Yeah, then you got the blind IT girl, the blind girl who's really good at computers. Fair enough-ish, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to say, Jessica Biel did look built. She looked really solid.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I necessarily want to pick a fight with her with that build. I'm like, oh goodness, she could do some damage.
Yeah. She was entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. Drake himself, yeah, like you say, he was not too bad. He could walk around the day like just for jokes, I guess.
And I like how he just didn't care.
Yeah. So I read, right? This is what I read. As far as characters, like Jarko Grimwood, you know who that is, right? That's Triple H's character name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was supposed to be a half breed as well, and I'm like, what do you mean? Did it, you know? But obviously, I think they might have just changed it by the time they gave up all the publicity stuff.
Yeah.
Did you read a lot about the behind the scenes of this?
Yeah, how Wesley Snipes was just a dick. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, so David S. Goyer, the guy who wrote Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., wrote the Dark Knight series and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wrote the first 1 and 2, the Blade 2 films. And they're kind of actually chummy on the Blade 2 audio commentary. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, I don't know. I don't know what's.
Don't know what happened with him.
Yeah, but at that point, he was directing the film. Wesley Snipes was beefing with him and trying to get him kicked off the film, and he's like, "Well, Wesley, we've already filmed your close-up scenes, so I could kick you off the film because we can just use your standard for the rest of the film because you don't even work anyways, and we can do it regardless."
Like that bit where he's on the table, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he refused to open his eyes, so they had to CGI.
Yeah, I was watching out for that, right? Because the unrated version has a different ending. Wait, have you seen? So which of the Blades, which Blade Trinity did you see?
I saw it in the cinema, so
you must have seen the theatrical one, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you seen the unrated one?
Is that where Blade dies as well?
No, that's the one where Blade doesn't. Yeah. No, he doesn't die. He doesn't. Okay. So in the theatrical one, like you say, they CG'd the eyes because Drake pretended to be... He turned into Blade at the end for the autopsy scene.
Yeah.
So, and which doesn't make... Okay, this makes sense in the theatrical cut. So Blade, after he's dealt with the Dracula, because they've created a virus that reverses the vampire genome or whatever, the Daystar, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he's like, well, okay, as he's dying, he's like, Blade, I've got a gift for you. You're going to be, let me give some words of advice, something about the cure or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when he's talking about he's a gift for you, him, you're like, all right, let's see what, in the theatrical cut, when he turns into him, for the autopsy scene, you're like, all right, fair enough, right? But then it doesn't make sense in the unrated cut where Blade is already on top. Blade is on the autopsy table, and I was looking, by the way, for the CG eyes, but it didn't happen in that one because his eyes were closed. So CG eyes. So he's lying on the table, but then Reynolds' narration is because it seems like, oh, what about Blade? Did he die? Well, and then Wesley Snipes sits up and he goes, Blade is only half vampire, so then we put him in a
coma
stasis for a little bit. Slowed his heart rate down. Then Blade is the medics, right? You just grab the medics by the throat and throw them against the wall. It's like, all right, okay.
That's a bit uncalled for.
Because he has to get away, right?
Yeah, but still, that's a bit uncalled for, you know.
Well, yeah, but that's that ending.
Oh.
And I think there was also an extra credit scene. I can't remember if it's the deleted scene or maybe it was after the credits of the unrated cut, which I didn't see the rest of it. But there was a bit for the sequel where the Night Stalker's in the bar. The Night Stalker's being Hannibal King and Annabelle was and they're in a bar. Something happens and a werewolf jumps across the table.
Yeah, because there's apparently I've seen this one because someone runs in and goes, "Oh, we got a problem." Like, what do you mean? There's no more vampires. We sort of got rid of them.
Yeah.
And then like, no werewolves. And then I was like, oh, this is where they're going.
Yeah.
And then I checked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I didn't like. I like the Night Stalkers as characters, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. And how Blade interacted was fine, but I'm not sure if I liked how Wesley Snipes interacted with Jessica Biel and
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. He seemed like he didn't want to be across from him.
Yeah, because like what I kind of noticed with this film as well, you can kind of halfway tell through the film that, oh, this is trying to set up to be like a spin-off. Yeah, for them and get rid of Blade sort of thing. I was like, oh no.
Well, it was coming up to his final unless he was doing another film,
Yeah. But you can kind of tell, so that kind of took me out of the film at points. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I see where this is going. I don't like it.
Yeah, I told you. I think I told you before about the original idea for Blade 3, where it's going to be like a vampire apocalypse, and it's going to be the vampires have already taken over the world, and it's Blade and the final survivors of the defending off against vampires. So it's not a zombie apocalypse; it's a vampire apocalypse. Fair enough. That would have been more interesting, but
you know what that sounds like?
What?
This TV show called Van Helsing. That's what that sounds like.
Oh, which I have seen, by the way. I have seen.
Same.
And it's actually relevant because it wasn't going to be Abigail Whistler. It was going to be one of the Van Helsings.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But they kind of decided not. Yeah.
It also sounds like Resident Evil 6, the last film, not the game, the film.
Yeah.
Retribution. After I can't remember what it's called. But yeah.
But I think that would have been a nice idea to cap off the Blade trilogy.
Yeah.
Would you be if they you know how they do the MCU Multiverse?
Yeah.
And if Wesley Snipes Blade made an appearance, what do you think of that?
That'd been pretty cool. I'm like, Blade.
Yeah.
Huh. They don't forget you exist. That's cool.
That's the thing. I'm thinking we're saying in our Spider, if they were making remnants of people that did previous Marvel movies, and you put them together as an Exiles team, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man thing, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans, Blade on this team, with versing the Maker, right?
Yeah.
It'd be funky.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Wesley Snipes don't seem to age.
No.
Like they say, black don't crack, right?
Crack. Yeah.
Yeah. And they when Asians don't raisin, right?
Yep. These stereotypes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so he could still. I think he could still pull off being Blade. Not necessarily be able to do martial arts that he could do back then, but
I don't know. He might be able to,
Well, you mean, of course, his stand-in and his stuntman.
Yeah, them, of course. Yeah. Oh man, Blade.
Yeah, I really like them actually. Number 3 is not bad, but it's less memorable than the first one. Obviously, is set the scene, and the second one up the ante, right? The third one's kind of there that you can put on and watch, but it's not. It's just one of those where you're like, it's all right.
Yeah, it's one of those films. I think when I was younger, I just hated on it on purpose. Don't know why.
Yeah.
And then I got a bit older, watched it again. You know what? It doesn't deserve the bad rap that it gets.
Yeah.
It's decent.
Yeah. It kind of is one of those films where you're like, there's the gimmick of how cool we can make things look and be.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's just but you probably should have concentrated on the actual story instead of making things that don't make sense. But then again, with the rest of the films, there's stuff that don't make sense. So,
yeah.
But they're never as apparent as that as in number 3. Yeah. Though Abigail Whistler did have some cool weapons where she pulled that laser thing. So one of the vampires got in a reverse, grabbed her from behind.
Yeah.
And she used the, I don't know, electrical girdle thing.
Yeah, some weird thing. I was like, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah. How functional is it? I mean, it was kind of close to her when the guy was behind her. She opened it up, right? And you're telling me it cut him, but then never got anywhere near her. All right.
Yeah, sure, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
It's
good.
What did you? I did like as well how the vampire dogs in Blade 3, which kind of had Reaper mouths, but they're not Reapers. Like what? So okay, so you're telling me somehow that Triple H's poodle is just well, these are Reaper dogs, and we're just gonna keep them alive for whatever reason we decide to keep them alive.
Reasons, yeah. It's just
okay, whatever.
Sure. I was like, that's a nice callback to the Reapers, but what service does this serve? Sure.
Yeah.
And then also Triple H giving Ryan Reynolds a running power slam was pretty good. I was like,
okay. So I didn't get the logic of that, by the way. Right now, I understand he picked him up and threw him for the rest of the move, right? But it was where he was given him the running power slam. It was like a metal square, like section of the building, right?
Yeah.
Because they had them tied down to it as well. Right. They chained them down. So, anyways, Triple H. Okay, fair enough. Running power slam on ground. All right. I mean, it's gonna hurt, but your knees are gonna get wrecked. But whatever, right?
But sure, yeah.
But if you're gonna run into a metal corner of an elevated platform, right, your knees are dead.
Yeah. Well, he's a vampire, so
yeah.
Not grow back, but you know.
But they hurt. They must feel pain, right?
Yeah. It'll heal quickly, you know.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that necessarily the corners of it, but like, I want to be yes, okay, you hurt Ryan Reynolds, Hannibal King by running power slamming onto the platform, but your knees hitting the platform also going to cause you damage. You're better off lifting up and just power slamming, just standard slamming him onto the platform.
He should just pedigreed him.
Yeah.
Like if the Rock was doing rock bottoms in like Star Trek and stuff like that, why couldn't Triple H pedigree him?
Yeah,
it's a plausible move.
Yeah, well, Triple H doing a spine buster is more plausible though.
Yeah. But you know, he's got to promote the pedigree, man. He should have done it.
Did you know that it was made? I think the role was actually originally written for your boy Edge.
Really?
Yeah. You know, remember he was that vampire gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was supposed to be originally the one doing that role. But let me tell you something else. Did you know as well? Michael Jackson was meant to make an appearance in Blade 2.
Really?
Yeah. You know when they're walking around in the vampire rave.
Yeah.
And Blade's opening doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson vampire was meant to be in one of those doors.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's random.
Yeah. 100% random. Like, right?
I don't know how to take that. I mean, I still don't know why.
I would be surprised that if he made a lot of sense being in that film like that.
Yeah. Because like him being in when he was in Men in Black, that made sense because aliens, whatever.
Yeah.
But for him to be in Blade, that makes no sense.
Oh. So obviously we know the immortal line of MF's trying to escape up hill. Right, other memorable lines from the Blade. Okay, tell you something as well. Before we go into the rest of that.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was sitting down in one of these talk shows. And they played the game with him, giving lines because he said they give him lines from his films and other people's films, right? Yeah. And he has to guess whether he said it or someone else said it.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is they get some people, just like old people, 50s onwards, reading the lines because they're not actors, right? But they're just reading it, the verbalage. And so some old lady read that line, and he was like, "No, I don't remember saying that," right?
Yeah.
And then they played him the clip of Wesley Snipes saying it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I like the way Wesley said that." And I'm like, Samuel Jackson, I need to hear you say this line at one time. I need the exact line. Be great. There was a line from Blade 3 that I remember where Drake speaks to Blade and says, "Are you ready?" And then he goes, Blade says,
yeah.
And then Drake's like, MFR, I like that. Even though he's like, all right, you don't understand what he's saying and why he's saying it, but you're like, all right, okay.
See, this is why I like Drake. Just things like that. I'm like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I get the vibe of it. I get where you go. I mean, 1,000 years ago, whatever, they didn't say such things, but all right, okay.
I like it.
I think it's just the way that Wesley Snipes pulled it off. It makes it sound so cool. Yeah. So you're like, all right, I don't know what you're saying, but I like the way you said that.
And there's another thing that Drake says.
Yeah.
That's it when he goes to him. My final words, was it the first always wins? Saying like basically that one day Blade's going to give into the first. I was like, oh, that does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, actually, let me note that down. We'll come back to that because I'll speak to you about that as well.
Yeah.
But as well. So Hannibal King's line when he was talking to Parker Posey, the expletives.
Yeah.
That I don't want to say.
Yeah,
But
that was quite funny as well.
where it's like the silver is going to the silver nitrate, the silver particles are putting in the filtration system, and they're breathing in.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is our Bond villain plan, right?" And as you can see, because your throats are dry, and then he's like several words involving juggling and thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "All right, fine."
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. I might have to watch Blade 3 again now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me good memories.
Yes. Yeah, some cool, like, I think it's just the way that Wesley Snipes pulls off these lines as well.
Yeah.
Like, he says a lot without saying a lot, yeah. And then when he kind of, I want to say growls it even, but just like, yeah, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blade.
Yeah. I tell you what's kind of funny though. So you were thinking about the thirst, yeah?
Yep.
They cured the thirst apparently in Blade 1, right?
Yeah.
And she just disappears, by the way, at the end. Like, she never comes back in Blade 2. And I was like, wait a minute. You know,
that plot line is wide open. Yeah.
Yeah. If the Blade's lost Whistler by the end of Blade 1, right?
Yeah.
And you got someone who can help you make cure or whatever, right? So why is she not there? Whatever. Okay?
Yeah.
Whatever. Allow that. But his reason for not taking the cure is fine.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to eliminate all his other abilities, and then what use is he to the world?
Yeah,
not
exactly.
the world per se, but
yeah.
So that's fine. But it's just like, all right, so he can cure himself.
Well, I guess at the end when he gets rid of all the vampires, then he will take the cure.
Yeah. That's the only logic, by the way, that we can assume
Yeah. Or he will like he'll do a heel turn like, now I'm the only vampire, everyone can die, and
yeah.
killing humans, you know. Sure.
You know what? I've killed enough vampires now. Let's up the ante, and I'll go for some humans now, eh?
Yeah.
You know the what's it called? The Greatest Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
It's hunting man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've hunted all the vampires.
That'd be hilarious if that was like what it came to in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, heel turn. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Are you looking forward to, even though there hasn't been much happening for MCU Blade, you looking forward to seeing how they're going to do it?
Yeah, I'd like to see where it goes.
I mean, these are 18-rated films, right? Because of violence. I want to say this. I mean, you can't do the MCU has good action, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just wary of how they're going to pull off vampires and all that blood. I mean, you don't necessarily need all that blood and like explicit blood, right?
Yeah.
But when you're shanking someone with weapons, you kind of do need to. I don't want to say that, but kind of it's inherent in these sort of things.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
If it was a TV series, probably they could have shown it. Whether like how they do things on with their Marvel TV series that they don't necessarily need to do. Oh, you can do on a movie.
Yeah.
I reckon they're going to make it 15 rated.
I don't know. Is it because we don't know if it's a TV show or a film yet, do we?
Oh yeah, okay. No, I think that hasn't been confirmed as. I think it's they're edging towards a movie. But to be fair, they haven't exactly said 100% each way.
So I don't know.
But you're looking forward to Mahershala Ali being the next Blade?
Yep. As long as someone says, "Hey, you look like someone familiar."
You mean you're Luke Cage? Mike Coulter comes along and goes, "Wait a minute."
Yeah. You look familiar. He goes, "Nah, bro, you got another man." Okay. Moving on.
No, yeah. He speaks like Blade.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Yeah. Like they can make that sort of joke with like in Iron Man 2 when they switched out Terrence Howard for Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
And how Don Cheadle was like, "Yeah, just move it." When you look different, because moving on. Like, they referenced it, but carried on. I'm okay with that. So I need to do that. That'd be funny. But I'm looking forward to it. To it. But apparently,
sorry.
Apparently, I don't know how true this is.
Yeah.
They want him to mix with Morbius.
But I thought Morbius is not in the MCU.
Well, I don't know. So I'm saying I don't know how they'll work it, but if there's
I think
the rules
Morbius was
away,
meant to be the villain in Blade 3, or something like that. But I think they were either having Morbius. They went in Blade 1 or Blade 3 at some point.
yeah. Even though he's a different kind of vampire, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess.
Well, you know what? I mean, do you think they're going to go for the supernatural vibe, or are you going to go for this vibe? That wasn't really supernatural. This is more like vampirism is a virus.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to go for vampirism is supernatural? Because they have got to that point in.
Yeah, I think they'll go supernatural because remember at the end of the Eternals?
Yeah.
Apparently, people reckon it was Blade who called it out to
Talking to what's it?
Dane White, his name?
Yeah.
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 I was like, oh, okay. Because the Black Knight's sort of supernatural stuff, isn't it? So it would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we haven't heard anything about it, so I can't really say I'm not excited or I'm excited.
Yeah.
But majority of the time, Marvel do entertaining movies, so it's something to look forward to, regardless. Yeah, that's what I can say about that. I'm sure the majority of the time, the cast the right people for the job as well. So
yeah.
We'll see how that works out.
I have faith.
Do you know any other Blade villains? Do you reckon they're gonna go Deacon Frost again or something?
I don't actually know any other Blade villains.
Yeah, other than Dracula, right?
Yeah, that's all I can sort of.
And if we didn't know anything from the movies, we wouldn't even know Deacon Frost. We'd only probably know Morbius, but he's not exactly in the MCU.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
It's like is it the day? Oh crap!
What?
Oh.
Did you forget something?
Yeah, that's like I think I knew like a team that Blade worked with.
The Midnight Suns.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, but Ghost Rider was in that, right? Venom was in that, I think. What was that?
Yeah, I think Wolverine as well.
Yeah.
Wolverine's been on every team in the planet, so it makes no difference at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't remember what else.
Yeah, it's not many. Oh, yeah.
He was part of a team called the Night Stalkers. Oh, yeah. And he was a part of MI13.
Right.
Yeah, because he's British.
Yeah.
Isn't
Do you reckon he's going to be British in this?
Nah.
If they were going for British, they probably should have got John Boyega, but he probably is around 30, but he just doesn't look like Wesley Snipes looked like when Wesley Snipes was 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you reckon if they got John Boyega, he could have pulled this off?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. I reckon he could
pull it off. He's pretty well built as well. I mean, he might have to add on a bit more mass to be Blade because there's a certain size, but you could just do the costume dude. But yeah. If they actually went for a British Blade,
could have.
Yeah, and he's got enough of a background where you're like, okay, maybe he can be an action star with no baggage.
Yeah.
Because you don't think you usually judge people by what they've done in their past.
Yeah.
Film wise. Mahershala Ali has done more of the dramatic films, I'd say. So he can definitely do the acting.
Definitely the acting,
But you can't say whether someone's a good action movie star until you've seen them do action movies ish.
Yeah. Because you're saying that now. I can't think of him being in any action films.
But then again, they could get. I don't want to say they could get a stuntman to do most of the work. But I'm just saying you don't need to have him as long as he looks like he can do it. Because all the stuff that Chris Evans does as Captain America, now he's got a dancer's background, so he can pull some of that stuff off, right?
Yeah.
But you just believe, looking at him, that as a super soldier, the actor, the guy can do that stuff. Yeah. That's all you need.
Yeah.
When I look at, I'm not trying to knock our boy Vin Diesel again, right? But sometimes when he does some action stuff, I'm like, I don't think Vin Diesel can do that. But there's other stuff that, like when he was having this fight with Jason Statham in Fast and Furious 7, some of the parts I could believe Vin Diesel do it, like where he's grabbing him and brawling with him.
Yeah,
right?
like the brute force sort of stuff. I could see Vin Diesel doing.
Not that you're strong enough to actually grab a man and throw him across 2 cars like that. Yeah,
of course not.
But that's your fighting style. I can accept. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're fighting with spanners and then Jason Statham's carrying most of the choreography, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to wait and see about our boy.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. I want to see how that turns out. I want to know what kind of, are they going to just pull a villain out from the, are they going to get a villain that's not a Blade villain and just use him instead?
Probably.
Because sometimes, obviously, there's villains that they're not going to use for a particular set of heroes.
Yeah.
But they're more useful to use in someone else's film because they're more relevant to that.
Yeah. Be pretty cool with that. I.e., like for Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch was the villain.
Yeah.
Random. You know what I mean?
Well, no, it wasn't random.
Not random, but like she's not known to be his villain. But I was like,
Yeah. Well,
so.
yeah. Well, unless she's with the Brothers of Evil Mutants and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but she wasn't really in that for that long, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean.
And I do not think Ghost is a Ant-Man bad guy, but
no, Iron Man. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, looking kind of forward-ish to it. If it's got the style and vibe, depends on who the director is as well.
Yeah.
And if they're going for, like, Blade 2 did have some horror elements to it.
Yeah,
because
it did.
Mike Garrett was horror, and he does the horror films. I think of those. That's why I think I like the style of this more because I don't want to say it's an action horror because not really that, but there's bits where it is even for vampires being the victims of other vampires. It's got that threat level.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so which of these have you seen the most?
Probably say Blade 2.
Yeah, me too. Because I can put it on, and it moves quickly as well.
Yeah.
It's not bogged down with anything other the Blade 1. I know how to set up the backstory, and then there's a bit more other stuff. But Blade 2 is just like action,
Yeah.
action sequence, a little bit of story and action sequence.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind that for that sort of film because it is an action film.
Yeah.
Just basically like a Jackie Chan film.
Yeah, basically like minimal plot, lots of action.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, we're gonna have so they say Jackie Chan walks around these scout locations and say, okay, I want to have a fight here, and here, right?
Right, story around that.
Exactly. Fair enough. Yeah.
That's how Blade 2 feels in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. I did like how they had to do that at the beginning. They do the mangly haired Russian guy, the chubby Russian guy. And he basically, through certain sequences in the film, it's like he chasing him at the beginning, then he bumps into him in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
You see the guy, he bumps into Blade, he sells it, and he just really backs off. He's looking like Danny DeVito is the Penguin.
Yeah.
And then at the very, very end, where he's back in London.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yes, are you sure these are live women? And first of all, I was like, of course they're going to be live. But then you're like, actually, it could be vampire women. So
Yeah,
that's what he wants. And then when he opens the curtain,
yeah.
his,
About to get ready to do some stuff.
Blade's like on the other side. Oh, you don't think I forgot about you, did you? And you know what it'd be, and then he throws a sword at it, but you know what would be even worse if Blade started taking his top off?
Yeah, like that'd be so weird.
We're like, what? I think the vampire guy would have killed himself.
Yeah,
he'd have been like, oh, that brings me to another thing. Probably the final thing we'll speak about.
Yeah.
So Blade must have those Kevin Nash trousers, right? Because how can you fight in them trousers better than splitting and stuff like that? He's got action, Chuck Norris
action jeans. Yeah.
With that extra flap in the middle to open up when he does the roundhouse kicks.
Yeah.
Or the Kevin Nash wrestling trousers, which I don't know. I mean, yeah, I suppose because I've seen Shawn Michaels do them high kicks with those.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Do you listen to audio commentaries?
Sometimes.
So they were talking about how, Blade's got to be walking around in the sewers in Blade 2.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, so how are we going to make the costume? Because if his trousers going to absorb water, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we'll get some neoprene and we'll make neoprene trousers for them." And you can't tell in the darkness of the tunnels exactly what material that is. I'm like, you know what? That's quite smart, actually.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah. Oh, and this is the final thing. Did you ever watch the trailer for Blade 2?
I'm pretty sure I did, because this is when I was still watching trailers as I was a young child.
So there's the TV friendly edit of the trailer where Blade's got the ticking UV flash bomb.
Yeah.
And he throws it in the water,
Yeah.
And all the Reapers are surrounding him to jump out of the water.
Yeah.
And he says, "You clearly do not know who you are messing with." That's what he said. Yeah. Right. But he uses the F word in the actual cut. And I was like, you know what they should have just done, actually?
Yeah.
You clearly don't know who you are mucking with. Now that would have been like exactly what you needed to do, right? As per the trailer. But when you swap out to the F word, it's exactly, messing with sounds like it's he's just like, oh yeah, censored for TV.
Yeah.
Okay, so film. All right, so that's us signing off for this episode, right?
Yeah. I did enjoy speaking about the awesome stuff that was Blade.
Yeah.
It's a great film. It's a great film series.
I am the man who wears sunglasses indoors, outdoors, wherever I go, because I refuse to open my eyes, apparently. See what, Sean?
And I am the supposed man... Oh, no, wait, no. I am the guy who met random chicks in Eastern Europe and thought it'd be a good idea to go into a tent with them until they started looking at my chest. Carl Charles. And thank you guys for listening to us take a trip down memory lane, talking about Blade and his 2 awesome movies and his 3rd okay film.
Yeah, it's just okay. That's the thing.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Blade films? Did you enjoy them? Which was your favorite out of the 3? Also, just a random side tangent. Blade 2 and Blade 3, the soundtracks are really good. So if you get a chance, listen to those.
Oh yeah. Actually, I forgot to mention the music. Right, I did like it as well. I have to say, the musical score, he's got that kind of funk vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like, cool beats and everything like that. You're like, oh yeah, it sets the tone and it really does set the mood. Especially number 2, because it's got the bops as well going on. Yeah. But the music score, it's actually pretty good. Yeah.
So if you get a chance, listen to those. And let us know what your favorite Blade stuff is. Are you looking forward to seeing the MCU version of Blade? And you reckon they will get him to fight the Scorpion or something? I don't really know.
I mean, it'll probably be vampires, but what kind of vampires? Who knows exactly? And whether they do it as a vampire strain or like whether they're gonna go supernatural, however they do it, we'll see.
It should go supernatural, but whatever way, they'll make it work.
Will he fight Jubilee of the X-Men because she's a vampire now?
Well, I don't know if she's still a vampire anymore.
All right, okay.
I don't think she is.
Well, it'll be funny if this is how they introduce the X-Men, when he's chasing out Jubilee.
Yeah, and then they just appear. You're like, oh, mutants too. They've always been here, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Well, they could sort of do it that way now, because apparently vampires always been there at this point, so hey.
Yeah, it's true.
And just let us know in the comments section, or drop us an email, or hit us up on our social medias. So also like to thank you all for listening. Your views and stuff means a lot to us, and we'll carry on listening. We'll carry on doing this. But if you can, to help our show grow, share this with your friends and give us some ratings on the podcasting apps and stuff. But until then, I'm going to stop blabbering on, and I'd like to thank you guys for taking a trip with us around the multiverse.
Bye.
Funny, isn't it? All this time, my people were trying to create a new kind of vampire, when one already existed. I don't need to survive The future of our race rests with you. You fought with honor. I respect that. Allow me a parting gift. But remember this. Sooner or later, the thirst always wins.
And Blade? The virus didn't kill him. Because he was a hybrid, his heart never stopped beating. It simply slowed down. And so he slept, waiting for the moment when he could walk the earth again.